Hi, I'm Jim.
And I'm David.
And this is the Practical Guitarist Podcast.
The podcast for people who eat, sleep, and breathe guitar. Hi, Jim.
Hi, David, and thank you for that bird.
Oh, yes. I appreciate your love of the I guess it's ornithical kind.
Ornithological.
The ornithological nature of this discussion is getting great. Ornithology. That might be the title of this episode.
There you go. Ornithology. And what ornithologists do.
Oh, well, I'm sure we could probably turn that around to the excursion that I had today.
Did they ever go to the ATM? That's what I want.
I went on what Joe Bonamassa likes to call a guitar safari.
It was, yeah. So okay, well, do our housekeeping.
I'm right there, man. So, for those of you that have found this podcast, are you a regular listener? Why not? Subscribe to the Practical Guitarist using your chosen podcast app. Take the time to put in a review with a service where you found our podcast, like iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or Google Play. Or maybe I handed you a business card today. Get involved. Find our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/practicalguitarist. You can also find us on Twitter as @PractGuitarist. And if you're interested in supporting the show, we have launched a threadless store at practicalguitaristpodcast.threadless.com. If you'd like to donate money to the show, there's always our Patreon. Our Patreon is available at patreon.com/practicalguitarist. And if you'd like to reach out to us directly, you can do so at questions@practicalguitarist.com. Woohoo! It's good!
It's been a heck of a day.
It's been a heck of a weekend, man. I got stories from yesterday too. Maybe those we'll say those for the after the show between you and I kind of discussion.
Yeah.
But so Jim,
yes.
we've been doing this thing. Well, we were attempting to do this thing, and I think you may have deviated from this path at this point. Called Year of No Gear. And,
yeah, I think it's done. How long did we last? Well,
you lasted 21 days or 22 days, depending on your perspective. And I lasted so I haven't bought anything yet. I almost did today. I was ready to break down today.
Yes.
But I did not. And that's because God intervened and decided that I did not need to break down yet. So,
okay. But you're close.
I'll tell this story now. Okay, so I get up this morning and I'm on Guitar Center's website and I'm kind of trolling around because I know Guitar Center's local, right? I've been wanting to check out one of the Ibanez AZs. I think we've talked about it in the podcast group, probably on the show at some point. I'm interested in the AZ. I'm primarily a Strat player. I play S500s. They're like a modern take on the Strat. They've got some outrageous pickups in them and stuff. Well, anyway, I went to go try an AZ, and I found that there was one at my local Guitar Center, which happens to be the Arlington Heights store. And so I went over there with the intention of trying the AZ, and I walked in, and I looked in the amp room. Now, I've been using, and I should probably preface all of this with this. I use the Line 6 Helix, and there's a particular model in there of an amplifier that I've actually begun to enjoy quite a bit, and that is the Friedman Brown Eye model. I don't think they call it the Brown Eye in the Helix, but I have to say Brown Eye as many times as I can, especially since Jim is face-palming as I say Brown Eye. Brown Eye. Okay.
As long as they haven't gone to the ATM, we're all right.
Yes, not yet. And now my Facebook is blowing up while we're on the show. People in the Friedman group, because I posted on that. We'll get to that in a moment. So I walked in, and I've been using the Brown Eye model, and I found the Ibanez AZ right away. And I had to get a guy to come get it down for me, and he was super cool. So I took it into the Platinum room, where the pile of Friedman amplifiers sits. And it had not occurred to me yet, why are there so many Friedmans here? Some of them are the same model. And I'm going, wow. And I look, and they're all pink tagged, which means they're on clearance. Or is it pink or orange or whatever it is? And the prices on them are $300 to $600 off list. And I'm going, I just hit the jackpot. So I'm like, well, I'll try them out. I'll see what I think, and then because I played Friedman's before, I played one at Sweetwater Gear Fest, and it's enough that they're on my short list. They're amps that I would really enjoy owning. So I played the Pink Taco, which the name says it all, which is a single channel head with basically like kind of a Plexi / JCM 800 sort of leaning, a little bit warmer, a little bit more brown sounding than your typical, Marshall clone. They're great amps. The Pink Taco is hand wired inside. I mean, it is every bit as good as you think it should be, right? It's 20 watts, EL84 driven. Sounds great. Whatever. It's got an effects loop. We've complained about that kind of thing before. But it's single channel. And so I'm like, they have the runt sitting here next to it. And the runt is actually cheaper. So they have 2 runt combos. One is new, one is used. And then they have a runt head. And then they have the runt 50-watt head. Okay? The 50-watt head is $1,300. The 2 runts were $1,199. Well, the one combo was $1,199. The head was $1,090. The used one was $950, which was a combo as well. So I played through the new runt combo, and I really liked it. I liked it as much as I liked the Pink Taco. It's dual channel. I got a clean sound that I actually liked out of it, which that's one thing that I've really struggled with my Mark V. And it's not that the Mark V can't do good clean sounds. It can't do them quietly. And that's the problem. My Mark V, in order to do clean sounds, has to be basically running full out. And that's a problem because I live in a condo. So I made a snap decision. I walked to the counter. I talked to the guy that I deal with a lot at Guitar Center, and I basically told him flat out, I said, okay, I'm bringing my Mark V and my cabinet in here, and I want to see if I can do an even trade. And he kind of reminds me, well, that's not really how we do things here. And I'm like, well, no, I understand. You're going to give me value for my equipment. And so I said, let's talk what they're worth. Well, he looked in the computer, and I wasn't really thrilled with his estimate, but I was like, well, we'll make it work. And I left, and I started getting the jitters. And, you get that panicky feeling, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing at this point. Like, do I really want... Because I've invested in the Mark V. I've been using this thing for 5 years now. So I finally came to the realization that I was not going to leave the $600 in value on the table for my used Mark V that was sitting there. So I was going to go back, and I was going to buy it, but I was going to buy it on credit. And then I was going to sell the Mark V outright, pocket the $500 or $600 difference, and then take the extra money and put that towards the purchase of the that was on the cards, basically pay off my cards, and then take the additional money and just stick it in my fund for next year's Gear Fest, as I had intended to get right back on the wagon. And as it turns out, when I went back, I took my S500 with me. I took my Sunface, and we ran through the used one because I figured the used one would be cheaper. First thing that went wrong was I looked in the back, and there's a box filled with tubes. And I went, what the hell is this all about? And then it dawns on me, the original guy who had this probably replaced all the tubes in it. Well, I crank it up, and we're in the platinum room, so I can get pretty loud. I crank it up. I push the clean channel. I hit an A note on the 5th fret on low E string, and the amp vibrates like really bad. And you can hear the sound of like paper fluttering. So I'm even holding the tags in my hand and hitting that note, right? And it's still doing it. And I'm going, this is weird. Like something here is vibrating that's not supposed to. And there's a little bit of static accompanied by it. And I've had this happen before. The guitars I play have a lot of bass. And so because of that, I've run into this situation where the amps don't typically, they don't handle it well. A lot of amps don't handle it well. My Rivera did not handle it well, for example. So long story short, I unplug from that amp. I unplug into the brand new one, right? Sitting right next to it, plug it in, and it's not the same problem, but it's similar. If I hit those low notes on the low E string, it's vibrating in a strange way, and I'm getting the sound of like ripped paper, like somewhere buried beneath the clean note. And it's not happening on any of the treble strings. Like, as hard as I pick, and I'm just slamming it, and nothing's happening. I'm going, this is not going to work. So I plugged into the head thinking, well, if this is a vibration issue, the head shouldn't have this problem because it's separate from the cabinet, which is usually the case. Plugged into the head. Unfortunately, it didn't do any of those things. What it did was just start going blah, 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 and shorting out. And there's some sort of either bad socket in there or a bad tube, and it's vibrating funny, and it's not making good connection, and it's causing all sorts of fun sounds that were not going to work for me. I mean, literally, we had to take the amp and send it immediately in for repair. And actually, the other two amps would have probably had to go in for repair too, because they had some sort of microphonic issue. Like, that's not normal. So I plugged back into the Pink Taco. It was $1,100. I almost bought it. It was just the head. But I finally came to my senses, and I said, you know what? I'm not buying something for the sake of buying something. Like, I need something that works for me, and I need a clean sound. And if I can't get that clean sound on a foot switch, it's just not going to work for me. So here I am, still on the year of no gear kick. And God smiled upon me and decided that these deals were not for David. So
Wimp.
Yeah, shit.
You're a wimp.
Shit. I could go out right now. I could sell my Mark V and buy an Amp 1 and probably be totally happy. But I'm not going to do that.
All right.
God steered me on this path, and I stay on it, my friend.
All right. So I've got a silly question for you before I move on.
Sure.
I've got a conundrum. So I was thinking that I want to get a Squier Classic 5 Strat.
Classic 5.
I don't care about the electronics. I don't care about the pickups. They can vibrate, they can do whatever, because I'm going to pull the whole thing out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put in an EMG set, the David Gilmour EMG set.
And you're going to do this before June of next year, correct?
No, I don't know. Probably. But here's the thing. A little gift to myself, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, so you're off the wagon gift.
Yeah. Because I've already gone off the wagon.
He's off the damn reservation, frankly.
Yeah. So my question is, what's basically, I mean, other than the electronics, because I don't care. Basically, if you're to look at a classic Vibe Strat and the Stratocaster called, it's still a Squier, they're both Squiers, the contemporary Stratocaster.
Okay.
Other than one is an HSS. Or I mean, yeah, HSS. And the other one's SSS. And they do have a different bridge. I'll give you that. One's got a 2-point bridge.
Neck radius?
I don't know.
I believe the modern player is 12, right?
Okay, so it's flatter?
I think. I'm not sure on that. But I think the modern players, they've tried to do 12-inch radiuses.
So it's a flatter radius.
Correct.
Which is what I play on.
Yeah, you're used to a 12-inch because almost everything you play is 12-inch.
Yeah.
So
I'm wondering, but I do see that the bridge is different on the
2-point versus the 6.
The Squier Contemporary, they call it.
Yeah, but it's a 2-point bridge, right, instead of the 6
versus the 6. Exactly.
Yeah, you want a 2-point. I know everybody says, "Oh, 6 saddle or 6 the 6 screws where it's at." If you're going to ever use that trem bar, you want a 2-point.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I was thinking, this is good. It's right in the price range, $350. So I'd spend the same amount for the guitar as the
pickups.
As the pickups.
No, but that's the thing. Like when you do these project guitars, that's how it works.
Yeah.
And I would look for a used set of the David Gilmour EMGs because they're probably just going to be a loaded pick guard anyway.
Yep, that's all it is.
And it's all jumper connected, so there's no solder joints.
Yep.
I mean that's what I would do. I'll save you $100.
Yeah, so, probably. And so that's my conundrum. But I'm thinking, you know what? I could just get this Squier Contemporary, and just as happy.
If you're wanting, are you setting this thing up yourself, or are you going to take it somewhere and have them do it? Like, is that?
Oh, I'm gonna
you
pull
do,
everything out and do it myself.
No. I mean, are you setting it like setting your action, intonation adjustments, and all that? You do that all yourself?
Oh, I do it all myself. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're gonna do it yourself, I'd go for the 12-inch radius because
Yep.
I have had nightmarish problems with 9.5-inch radius on Fender guitars and bending. And I know purists and there are people listening screaming at their whatever device that they're listening to our podcast on, albeit, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or Google Play. They're screaming at their device right now. You son of a bitch, you can do anything you want in a 9.5-inch radius. Look, I'm absolutely certain you can. The problem is when you get a guitar from Fender, especially a cheap one, if it's a Squier or Fender or whatever, the frets are never freaking level. And you're going to have to take it to a really good guy to get them leveled properly. And then until you do that, you're going to have problems with fretting out around the 10th, 11th, maybe the 9th fret. You'll fret out at the 12th, 13th, and 14th, respectively. Because there's a hump that exists in those necks because of the way that the bowl... It's a whole thing. I'm not going to go into the physics of it, but like I've had enough strats to tell you that that's a problem. And so... I would look for a 12-inch radius or a 9.5-inch radius and a really good tech and try to get, if they can put a compound radius into the frets, which a lot of guys are like into that thing now, they may be able to do that. If they can do that, that's even better if you get a 9.5, because then you can literally have the other end at, really flat in the middle and you won't fret out anymore. It won't be a problem. My whole thing, Jim, is, it almost doesn't make sense for me anymore to buy off-the-shelf guitars. Nope. Because I can go right to Warmoth. I can get a body and a neck, get them exactly the way I want them, and just order them and bolt them together. And if it's a guitar that I'm going to keep and play forever, I don't really sell guitars all that much. There have been a couple that have gone through my hands, but most of the stuff I've had like really long term. So I don't mind building a parts guitar. I know I'm not going to get any money out of it, but so top quality parts, right? If I was to go get another S500 from G&L USA, I would be spending like $1,400, $1,300, and I can go to Warmoth and probably get the same guitar sans pickups. I mean, I'll have to find some other pickups to put in it for like, half that, if that.
Yep. Somebody's got a EMG set for $150 right now.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's actually a really good price.
But that is the only used set on there.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled, though, because they do show up from time to time.
I mean, I would just buy it now.
I'd look off eBay, too, as well.
Yeah,
if you got $150, I just buy it now.
Yeah.
So it's the pick guard and everything?
Yeah, it says, it's the whole thing. It's
for it.
Just pulled out of the Strat that was reverted to the original pickups, everything in working order, but you'll need a new output jack.
Yeah,
which is fine.
You're going to have a new output jack. It's not a problem.
Yeah, you'd have to do that anyway. So, plus you'd have the one that's on there. But okay, so here's my so a lot of people would ask, well, why would you want the Gilmore EMGs? Well, that's because that's the live sound.
Okay.
Because he liked to have more in a live situation. He liked to have more when you're more output.
Well,
and it's better controlled.
I think there's a couple of reasons why he uses the EMGs live most of the time. So he does play the Black Strat live still.
Yes, he does.
The guitar that Jim's talking about is the red. I think it's red, right? The candy apple red one.
Yep. Yeah, it's typically red.
Yeah, and I think he's got a white one too. He's
got a white one too.
Yeah,
right.
And they both have EMGs. Well, the reasoning behind him using EMGs is partially probably because of output, but I think it's also to kill the noise. If you've seen his pedal board and the amount of shit he runs through, he wants it silent, and he doesn't use humbuckers, so it's that that's the perfect tool for him. The other thing is, so he can take those EMG pickups and put them into dog shit plywood, cardboard, and it'll sound like the red Strat. Like as long as it can hold the strings, like it's fine.
Exactly.
So I think from that perspective, that's probably a really good choice for a Squier Classic vibe, because the body's garbage and it's like 10 different pieces on the and I'm sure that their bodies are better than that now. They got Cort making them. That they you're gonna take even a dog shit piece of wood and turn it into something worth listening to. Now, if you're gonna get a Squire Classic vibe, I would look for a light one.
Yeah,
because I have a feeling they vary in weight a lot.
Yeah, they have a lot of weight. I mean, they're poplar bodies. The classic vibe isn't, the contemporary is. So if I go with the 12-inch radius and I get the poplar body, then
poplar.
It's a light. Yeah.
What the hell?
I know,
Poplar's
right?
A soft wood, right?
Poplar. Yes.
It's like pine.
Yes. Ugh. Poplar is it's a soft wood.
I mean, I get pine Telecasters because that was a thing, but
I think that the reason they're doing that, remember, it's contemporary. So you want a consistently light piece of wood, and you want the flatter radius.
I'd rather have them chamber alder.
Yeah, but if I'm going to buy it, I mean, I could always chamber.
Just remember, when you buy a chamber guitar, you're paying for the wood that they cut out.
That's it. Yep. And you're paying for the fact that they cut the wood out.
Yeah. So
you actually pay more money.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, Jim, I'm as I get deeper into this whole I kind of want to get another guitar next year. I'm thinking maybe I do a Strat that's chambered, because I want a super lightweight guitar that I can play on stage and no longer have to worry about my back hurting. Because I honestly been playing my S500 a lot. That thing's a brick, man. Both of them are. They're really, really heavy guitars. For Strats, they're as heavy as a Les Paul. It's just stupid, and it's because they're ash. Yeah. Well, one of them's ash, one of them's mahogany.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily a bad choice for the guitar. The guitars sound great, and I'll never say I won't keep those guitars. Even now that I'm starting to question why I love them so much. They're not going anywhere. That's right. I'll put them in a case and put them in the closet and not play them for a while. It's fine.
Right.
But I'm looking. So you're looking at that. So remember, I went to Guitar Center to try the Ibanez AZ.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, they're great. The one I played was the $1,200 model with the dual humbuckers.
Yep.
It was like yellow, orange, and red. It was a fade from front to back instead of a normal sunburst type thing. It wasn't a burst type thing. And it looked great. It played great. Stainless steel frets. You could tell it had not been set up since they took it out of the box, but the action was not completely ridiculous. Yep. Trem system on it seemed like it was solid. The neck had really good rolled edges, almost. So they used to do it in Prestige. They used to work their ass off on the necks. Now I think even the Indonesian guitars are getting the neck treatment, because that guitar was just phenomenal.
You're seeing better and better guitars coming out of Indonesia.
Now,
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
You see the big smile on my face, right?
Yeah.
Because now that I've played the AZ out of Indonesia, I'm thinking when I go to Gearfest and I got all this cheddar hanging around, I might just opt for the Prestige model. I might do it. $1,200. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but I actually it's not. So $1,200 is $2,000 for the Prestige. Well, they have a $2,000 and they have a $2,500 model. The $2,500 model, the only difference is it's a burst, and it's got a fancy flame top on it. And from what I understand, they look really good. I haven't seen one yet. But I don't think I would pay $500 for the aesthetics, to be honest with you. This is a tool.
No, there's no point in it. There is no point unless you need the aesthetics. If you're on tour with Shania Twain, and or
nobody's going to be able to see that if you're on a big stage like that, though.
Yeah,
maybe if you're on the jumbotron,
it's all about but it is all about your looks to you, because your picture's all over the place, right?
Right.
Where if you are playing, Billy Joe Jim Bob's Pizza Parlor, and then Ronnie's nightclub. Well, then what's the point of having to pay all that money for the guitar just so that it's prettier? I was just saying to you before we started, I am loving playing my SE, and my CE sits more, and that's backwards from what it should be. But the SE, the feel of it is the same, and honestly, the pickups are great. I think Paul Reed Smith, whether they wanted to or not, they built a fantastic guitar coming out of Korea. And I think some of the newer SEs are out of Indonesia as well. And the 8515Ss are just as good as the 8515s. And you don't have to spend all that money unless you want the look or you want the I've got to have an American guitar thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, and yes, and so both versions of the AZ are imports, which makes it even funnier. You can buy Indonesian or Japanese. Now, granted,
Right?
we all kind of, I think the wall between Japanese quality and American quality, I think everybody kind of knows that there is no wall there anymore.
No.
If anything, the Japanese are better at it than we are.
Yeah, a lot of things.
So, I mean, I'm completely comfortable just saying going whole hog with it. Now, here's the problem. Because now that I've played the AZ,
Right.
I've played, and I've mentioned this on the podcast, I'm absolutely certain, I've played a bunch of Sirs over the years through Chicago Music Exchange. I've never found one I really liked. But these are knockoffs of Sirs.
Right.
Sirs. And so I would like to go now play some more Sirs.
Okay.
Play through a bunch of them and just make sure that, like, I don't want to get a Sir, or would I rather get the Ibanez?
Okay, so let me ask you this. And when it comes to the Sir, because the Sir, to me, this is just, I've found that in that, because you're looking at that price range, right? That $1,200 price range.
They're quite, well, no, I'm looking at the $2,000 price range.
All right,
I'm thinking I'm going to get the
$2,000 price range. All right, you're in Sir territory, but
I don't think you can touch the Sirs until you get to 3.
Well, I was just going to say you're in low end used Sir territory.
Well, the real reason is curiosity, Jim. I mean, I want to get hands on a couple more because I feel like I haven't given them a fair shake. I mean, if they spawn the AZ line, if that was like Ibanez taking note that Sir was taking sales from them, and they were like, all right, so now we're going to have to do something to reclaim the throne, then I kind of laugh because I'm like, you did a better job than they did based on what I know now. And I have a feeling that I've just been unlucky in picking Sirs because there's a lot of dudes playing them. However, after my debacle with the Friedmans today, I'm wondering how much of the endorsement money that's flying around right now is literally getting people to sign off on basically dog shit equipment. I'm not saying that the Friedmans are bad, but I am saying that the couple I touched today were a mess electronically. There was something. Now, the used one aside, 2 Dirty Shirleys, or not Dirty Shirleys, the Runts, 2 of them, boarded amps, no less. And they were not up to snuff compared to like Brown Eyes and stuff I played. They just weren't. It's not that the design, it's not that the tone wasn't there. Like they knew what they had to do, which was put the Brown Eye into a smaller amp. And they did a really good job of that. But the problem is the quality isn't there. And I'm wondering, all these guys that are running around endorsing Friedman, are they getting, the top quality pick of the line? And or they're just getting quality technical support and they're, being well taken care of financially enough that they're saying, oh yeah, I can play this. Right. Let's talk about Friedman endorsees right now. So that we know there's Bill, I think it's Bill Kaler from Mastodon's using them. Jude Gold uses them. He's got a Brown Eye. I mean, their roster list is long and full. There's a lot of people on there. Pretty much, it's a who's who of like rock and roll right now. And so Sir is kind of the same way. And a lot of the same guys that are playing Sirs are either playing Sir amps or they're playing Friedman.
Who's the podcast guy that or not podcast, the YouTube guy that does that plays Sirs and Pete Thorne?
Pete Thorne, yeah, he's a Sir guy.
Pete Thorne. Yeah.
Yep. But so Pete I kind of understand. So like I get, because Guthrie Govan used to be Sir too.
Yep.
And then he went to Charvel.
Yep.
And it wasn't, and like he made it very public when he left. He was like, it's not because Sir did anything wrong. He says, it's because my situation has just gotten to a point where Sir can't deal with me anymore. Like I need to make sure that I can get guitars quickly, and like I don't want to hurt anybody else's ability to get guitars and that kind of stuff. So he dropped out. By the way, I have a large orange feline who's decided to lay on my mouse right now. She's having a good time with me, so that's fine. This is Michonne, everyone.
Yes.
That is this kitty's name, and she will cut your head off if you're, The Walking Dead. Anyway, yeah.
So I just wonder if, when you're looking at Friedman, I wonder if they grew too fast.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm wondering. I wonder if they discontinued the Runt line. Because the Runt was supposed to be their low-end model for people that couldn't afford, like, the higher-end stuff and needed the features. So
still on their website.
They made a boarded amp. Well, yeah, but if they're still selling them, then, if they're still cleaning them out, they're still going to have them on the website. And that may persist 6 months after they're all gone. Main thing is that's dealer support. They have to support their dealers who have purchased the product and are now trying to sell it. So, I've seen a lot of companies hit that stumbling block, Paul Reed Smith being one specifically. When they did the SE amp, those things were a mess. People had lots of problems with them, and it actually kept them from continuing to make amps overseas for a number of years. And they retooled, and then they came out with Sanzera. And the Sanzera line's great. I've had one. I don't, so I kind of miss that amp, and I don't. It didn't handle the bass in my pickups very well either, which is why I don't really miss it all that much. But I did like what I had, and it worked great with my SG. So, but I had to downsize. A 50-watt amp was just too much for me. So, alas, I no longer have a Sanzera.
I have a little trouble. So I'm just wondering if Friedman, because remember what I just said, they may have expanded too fast.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that expansion, they went from here's a handful of amps to
guitars and pedals.
Here's a buttload of amps and a bunch of pedals.
Well,
and you've got and pedal boards. I mean, if you look at what they do, they went from doing like a very limited line of heads and combos to where they're doing heads, combos. Now they've got emulation modelers.
Mm-hmm.
So monitors that do modeling.
Okay, all right. So let me back us up for a minute, because I have some more information there. I've been kind of following the meteoric rise of Friedman, and like many meteors, sometimes it's going to break up. And sometimes you have to accumulate space junk into the ice in order to continually grow the size of the meteor. So the modeling device that they have is actually a B-52 PA cabinet. It is a B-52 PA cabinet put into a wood box. And it's really funny because it's pretty common knowledge at this point. If you troll around any of the FR groups, which, by the way, FR used to be the thing in the Helix group. People are like, oh, let's have a discussion about FR. It's gone now. You know why? Because Power Cab came out. So, actually, as I sit here and have this discussion, I'm kind of thinking maybe Power Cab is probably a better option for me than an amplifier at this point. So, and that may be something I investigate. So, let me get my cat out of the way here.
Michonne's getting so big.
She is huge. All right, so now I got cat hair all over my arm here.
Yep.
We were talking about the PA cab. The guitars, those are Grover Jackson. They're rebranded. Okay, Grover Jackson's making those guitars for them. The pedal line, my understanding is they are building those themselves, but the pedal, well, we'll get into that too, because there's another piece of that whole thing. The pedals themselves are probably designed by Friedman himself, but they're basically FET versions of the amps in a pedal format. And then we were talking about, so there's the guitars, the pedal line, the pedal boards, and all that stuff. He's been doing that shit for years. So maybe the power supply is a new, unique design, but he's been building pedal boards for pros for probably 20 years. That's actually how he became kind of known for doing the mods. It's like, oh, well, you do pedal boards and custom wiring and all that, and he's like, well, yeah, I also modify Marshalls, Yeah. So as far as the other products he makes, the guitars he's contracting Grover Jackson build are great. Those I would stand by for sure. The amps, yeah, probably. I would think the Brown Eye, the higher end ones, are probably great. The Brown Eye is the one I played, and I've also played. So now I played the Pink Taco, the Runt, Brown Eye. I think I've also played the Dirty Shirley. The Dirty Shirley was the one I played at Chicago Music Exchange. So they're all
you've got
decent. But at least with the Runt, I've seen quality problems.
You've got the Phil X signature. You got Steve Stevens' signature.
Yeah, which those are all based off. Those are all based off the Brown Eye.
Yeah, Jerry Cantrell's signature.
I think his is a Dirty Shirley. I might be wrong on that, but I think they're all based off the Brown Eye or the Dirty Shirley. Yeah. And the Pink Taco is supposed to be the Brown Eye in a small format. It's the Brown Eye Dirt channel in a small format with no presence control. Like, it has a reduced control functionality, basically.
So that's the BE. The Brown Eye is BE.
The BE 100, and they have a BE 50 now too.
Yeah, and so they have. When you look at their small box, as you've mentioned, the Brown Eye and the Dirty Shirley, the Mini Dirty Shirley, the BE 100, the BE 50, to Bill Kelleher. I'm just saying that right now they've gone from, like I said, 3 or 4 amps to 1, 2, 3.
A giant line. Within 5 years.
Yeah. No, 13 heads. It's got 13 heads, like 8 combos. 13 cabs. You've got, for guitars, you've got, like you said, they're being built by what do you call it? But there's the Metro D. Now, don't tell me that's from his old line. The Metro D doesn't look anything like what a Grover Jackson was.
No, they were designed by somebody for Friedman, but Grover Jackson, they're not doing any of the building there. Grover Jackson's doing it all.
Right, so, and then the Vintage T. All I'm saying is you've got a lot, and then within the Vintage T or the Metro D or whatever, you've got the models of those. Holy crap! You've got, just in the Vintage T, you got 10 Vintage Ts. And I'm not saying he's doing the building, but he's still got to have some management of it.
No,
or he's letting it go, and
even the amps are. And I've heard somebody, if you know better about this than I do, please sound off in the group. The amps, from what I've heard, are not made by Friedman Amplification. They are made by another company, like a Builders Guild type company here in the United States. He designs them, gives them the design, they build them.
Yep. And now, pickups. He's doing pickups.
Yeah, so the pickups are definitely Grover Jackson.
Yeah,
that's without question.
Come on, it's just...
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, what are you? You're an amplification company, and now you're trying to become Fender. Like, honestly, I think the company is probably gonna bite off more than they can chew. And that's because, look, the guitars are great, but I'm sorry, I'm not buying a Strat copy for $3,000. It's right. It's crazy.
That's why
even if it's and they do a great job of making these guitars comfortably relict, but $3,000? Come on, dude.
Look, a Sur is $3,000.
That's right. Like, I can go get a top quality guitar from a company that does nothing but guitars.
But the resale on them isn't as great.
Well, Sur doesn't make. They make amps too, but yeah, it's a whole other thing.
I know. Sur does amps, but a very limited number. Like, they have like 3, 4.
Oh, I would suspect. So limited number of designs. I think they have probably 6 now.
Is it 6? I know that. What's his name? The jazz fusion guy that plays them.
That Guthrie Govan plays them, I thought, or he used to anyway. Yep. But they have. I know they have a couple of lines that do not have the Sur label on them that they make. So,
right.
That's where I'm like, they probably make 6 now, I would say. But
and they've gone into making Les Paul copies now too.
I look, guitar's one thing. I don't look at Mesa Boogie and expect Mesa Boogie to bring out an amp. I don't look at Marshall and expect them to bring out an amp. The one company that's done that successfully and been really, really good at it over the years is Fender.
Yeah.
They make decent guitars, and they make some of the finest amps that people hold up, their other amps against. And
I'm just saying, if you want to get your money's worth on a Sir, you look used. You can get them under $2,000 all day long.
So that would be the thing. Like, I would probably look used anyway if I was going to go that route. I still am leaning towards Ibanez AZ, just because, like, I kind of like the whole "fuck you" attitude about it. Like, I could buy your Sir, but I'm not gonna, because this is just as good. You painted my ass. Yeah,
and you'll still pay less than you would for a used Sir.
Yes. Now, I want to see the case that they come with and stuff. Like, that's always important to me. I don't know. So I was in the Platinum Room over there today, and I was looking on the wall, and they have basically their Platinum Room wall now is like all the guitars are locked, which is kind of funny because they're not even expensive guitars. They're like $3,000 and under. A lot of them are $1,000, and they're almost all Ernie Ball Music Man guitars, and a couple of Majesties. Like, I get the Majesty. I understand why people like that thing. If you're a metal player, like, it's a pretty cool axe. And then they have the Stingray, which they could kill that guitar for me. Like, it does nothing for me. It's kind of Leo Fender making a Strat because he has to, and because he's not able to use the Strat, concept. that this is what you get. Is that the Cutlass or is that the?
I think it's a Cutlass.
Yeah, the Cutlass.
I'm pretty sure you got that right.
So, I don't know. I like some of their stuff, but some of their stuff I just don't feel like Ernie Ball does anything other than artist models.
Yeah, Ernie Ball does artist models well. When you talk about Ernie Ball, I instantly think of John Petrucci.
The Axis.
Yep. I mean, those are the ones that I think of. I don't think of the Music Man.
Cutlass.
I mean, now, the Cutlass. That's it. I mean, it's like, now when I think of Ernie Ball, actually, when I think of Ernie Ball guitars, I think of the bass.
Yeah, and the Stingray bass. And
the Stingray, the bongo, those lines. Those are two great. If I was
gonna get into bass, like, I would buy a Stingray.
Yep, Stingray, a bongo.
Yeah,
and it would be a Stingray for me, just because I like that classic feel.
I'd get a 5-string Stingray.
I played that would be me too. 5-string Stingray.
My buddy bought a Stingray. So right after our first band dissolved, he bought a Stingray, and we played a couple of times, and I got to mess around with it, and I was really impressed. And it wasn't that expensive either.
I played a bongo. You know what? The only thing I didn't like about the bongo, and I wanted to love it because that weird shape, I just could not love playing that weird shape. It just didn't feel right for me.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was like a neck dive thing.
So that's another thing. Bass, for me, like when I'm playing bass, body doesn't matter as much.
Nope.
Because my arm doesn't sit against the contour, because I'm over the top and I got my thumb resting on the body, or on top of the pickup. It just doesn't matter.
Nope.
You can get away with a lot more.
Matter of fact, the only time that a body matters when it comes to a bass is if it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like when it does not sit right.
Like that John Entwistle thing that he was playing for BC Rich or whatever. What was he thinking? He's probably thinking, "Give me all your money." I'm sure you got to pay a pretty penny to play that thing.
As I watch the price, so I've been interested in the Jiva 10,
right?
And more and more, I'm thinking I'm going to have to wait on it because it went from being like
it's insanely overpriced right now.
Yeah, it's gone to $1,500. It hasn't even come out yet. It's $1,500.
It was supposed to be $1,100, and then we've watched it go to $13 and then $14, and it's now, I believe, it's $15.99.
Yeah, well, I think it was $14.99, but I know that as far as I'm concerned, $1,500 for an untested guitar on the market.
Yeah, well, so you can buy an S series, a nice one.
Yeah, nice S-Series Prestige.
You can get a Prestige for under $2,000. I think you can get them for like $1,800, I want to say.
Yeah.
So why would you buy a Jiva, which is an Indonesian guitar, at $1,500? It doesn't make any sense. I think they've priced themselves out of that guitar at this point.
I do too. I can see a price drop a significant price
Well,
drop. Really,
we don't know if that's the MSRP or the MAP, the manufacturer adjusted price, that 1,500.
Well,
or if that's the demand
pre-order price.
That's the demand price, is what that is.
That's the pre-order price.
People,
right now.
everybody on the internet wants it right now. Just like that PRS, they're watching what happened with PRS and the Silver Sky, and they're going, "We're going to cash in." Is what that is. Dude, have you heard that the Silver Sky people are selling their pre-orders for that guitar, like their guaranteed delivery date or whatever, for like twice what the guitar goes for?
I'm telling you right now, I'm still interested in the Silver Sky. Yeah.
Yeah, but wait 3 years when you can get them on the shelf.
Oh yeah.
It's
nuts. It's just that okay, so I love playing my SG. And I love playing my my Paul Reed Smiths. I honestly, I'm looking at this Stratocaster thing going, it's one of those things just to say I did it.
It's a project.
Yeah.
And it's okay. We can have projects. I got that. Right. I got the Shengzai, which, by the way, I wanted to tell this little horror story. So over the last...
Here we go.
All right. I have to preface this. I have to send my pickups back. I don't want to make this seem like this is a bad quality problem or anything like that. I got my pickups. I installed them. They sound effing great. And I put the guitar in the middle position while I'm doing a demo, and they're out of phase. So I immediately call my guitar shop thinking that maybe they miswired them or something. Stupid me. Like I'm being, I'm already pointing the finger at somebody. And they told me no. They said that we noticed it. We went ahead and installed them anyway. We noticed it. Like you've got two pickups that are wired in the same way. So he told me, he said, it's no big deal. You just go back to your pickup guy and have them, rewind it, or have them, make you a new set or whatever. So I went back to Nick. Nick's been great. Nick walked me through the disassembly process so we could figure out exactly what was going on so that I didn't have to send pickups back if I didn't need to. We took the guitar apart together via Facebook. I was sending him pictures and stuff, and I actually completely dissected the pickup, and we determined that there is an issue. So I'm sending him back. He's going to send me a new set, or I don't know whether he's going to send me a new set or he's going to fix these. Which these are fixable. I just don't like messing around with the tiny little wire because I will break it. So I'm going to send them back to him, and I've had them in my possession in a box, wrapped and ready to go for 2 weeks now. And every time I've gone to the post office, something has happened. The last time I went, I had misplaced his business card, which came with the pickups, so I didn't have his address, and I was trying to get a hold of him. He had a gig that night. He didn't see that message, so I just said, oh, well, hell, I'll have to come back tomorrow. I didn't get back tomorrow, so I went out just before we started podcasting, and I went to the post office, and we have kiosks there, like digital kiosks, where I can send a package, even on Sunday, right? And I walk in, and the place is like a tomb. There's people, there's like one guy getting something out of the post box, but I put my thing on the kiosk, and then I look, and it says, error, down for technical reasons, or something like that. And I walk to the next one. Same thing. Error. Down for technical reasons. I'm just like, fuck. Like, seriously. This is the third time I've tried to mail these goddamn things. So it's like, this is just nightmarish. I'm going to get in the fucking car. He's over in Michigan. I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to drive them over to him because it might be more reliable than trying to put them in the post office box. Once that thing gets finished, I'm going to have a demo for everybody. And you'll see how good Nick Bonger's pickups are. Great Licks custom pickups. Honestly, I could put the demo together right now using the bridge and neck position, but I can't do the in between. And they do sound great. And Nick, the pickups he made for me are fantastic. They're more than I could have hoped for. So this guitar is going to come to life. I'm already looking at articles on how to relic it because I think I'm gonna sand the finish off the back of the neck. I think I'm going to kind of nick up the body a little bit. I would love to strip the finish on it and put and do it up in nitro and just like let it nitro and maybe like the thinnest coat of clear you've ever seen in your life, so it'll relic real fast. And that way I'll have a guitar that's like it's got a story to it. Because hell, I had a guitar when a company was just starting out. And then it failed. This is what became of it, I don't know. It'll be cool if I could do it. I was already like reading about how you can check. Basically, you take canned air and you flip it upside down and you spray down the finish with if it's nitrocellulose, and it'll crack. The finish will crack and spiderweb.
Yep.
So I'm all in on this. If I can get this to do it, like we're gonna have a really cool looking Les Paul when we're done. This is Jim. I was gonna ask you this, and so it's good to do it on the show here. Is it okay if we make the Shingze our show's mascot?
Oh, heck yeah. Why not?
Yeah, it could be the show's mascot for now.
I mean, we can, you know what? They don't mind stealing copyright
right,
stuff.
So fuck it.
And they're gone, so fuck them.
Yeah. we should use the goddamn cat that's on the logo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I meant the guitar itself.
I hate to say it, but I'm 100% sure they stole that too. Because there's a guy at work, and he has that cat as a forearm tattoo.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, Shangze got guitars. He goes, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah, and you just start laughing.
Yeah, he says, "This is the cat from Alice in Wonderland."
That's so funny. The Cheshire cat.
And yeah, and it's a Cheshire cat from Alice in Wonderland.
Well, I wonder if they did the same thing. They used the Cheshire cat as their which is really funny because if you know what the Cheshire cat stands for, and the fact that they were selling guitars out of China, and their operation was kind of like fly by night and. It's the whole thing. Think about it. It'll all make sense to you eventually.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying that all goods out of China are, suspect of these problems. But I'm saying that they were very, very much so. I don't know, man. So my mod project, where we're at right, once we get these pickups done, I need new hardware. I'm gonna install. Probably Tone Pro's bridge, and then I'm done. Guitar's done. Stick a fork in it. I'm not screwing around with it anymore. And it is already more than a wall hanger. Like, it plays really well. So maybe I'll have it refretted at some point. Once my buddy Dan Kish, friend of the show, gets his skill level to where I feel confident we can refret it really easily. We might refret that for the show. In fact, if we do it, we'll probably do it as a series of videos or something. Because I've done it before. I've never done a guitar with binding. But I'd like to put some big ass frets in it. I don't even know if that's doable. Well, you just adjust the bridge height to compensate, I guess.
How do frets with big asses look?
So Dunlop 6100s. Yes. That's basically a fret with a big ass. It's two cheeks, a treble cheek and a bass cheek.
I'm definitely a jumbo fret kind of guy. Large.
Yeah, I've heard women like big asses too. So
yeah, I like my
wife loves a big ass. Look at me.
My frets have big asses.
I'm the biggest ass in the room.
There you go. Yeah, I'm the second biggest.
She's sitting over in a chair here, watching her iPhone right now. I don't know that she just heard me say that I'm the biggest ass in the room. Now she's smiling. She must have.
We'd be alone for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, no shit.
All right, so as you know, I picked up an amp.
No.
So
you sure
I know,
did.
Because you hate this amp.
I fucking
and I'm actually liking it right now.
Before Jim goes on,
this will be interesting.
Before Jim goes on, I need to do this for our listeners. I fucking loathe this goddamn amp. It is the only amp I've ever had where I could not sell it. Nobody would buy the goddamn thing. I was to the point at one point while I was listening to Reverb where I was just talking about throwing it off a bridge. Like, I was fucking mad. Actually, that would be a good stunt. If anybody wants to send me one of these things, I will absolutely find a bridge and I will toss that motherfucker into oblivion.
You could throw it over the lower whacker.
Yeah, I'll call Ryan and I'll ask him who he gets to do his drone shots. And he can come out and videotape me throwing a fucking amp off a bridge.
Yep.
All right, Jim. Go for it.
All right. So, yes. So, behind me is a Lone Star HT5R.
Not a Lone Star.
Lone Star, yeah, no.
A Blackstar.
A Blackstar, sorry.
A Lone Star HT5, that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah. HT5R. And I got to tell you, I like it. So far, I'm really liking it. And now you got to remember, I use a clean channel, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I did some recording today. I mic'd it up. I think I screwed up micing it up, but anyway,
why do you
that's
think
all
you
right.
screwed up micing it
I think
up,
I
Jim?
kicked it. In other words, I kicked it the second time I did it. I think I nudged the mic and it was off center.
Oh, that's fine.
But anyway, here's the other thing I found out. Remember when I said I thought that it sounded like it sounded a little bad? That was me using the mic. That wasn't the other side.
That's what I figured.
So I think I've got the mic in the wrong place on the cone. I need to
so if I remember, the cone and the speaker in there is actually offset.
Yep.
So you need to use like a flashlight or something to see the...
Well, I did. I did feel for where the cone is, but I think I was too far in the middle of the cone. Too far on the outside of the cone.
I always use a flashlight, and then what I would recommend you do is like hold it at an angle so you can see the actual speaker side. Bright flashlight, and then once you get it, you actually want to be where the dust cap is, the little center like thing. You actually the way I start is 50-50 on that dust cap. And it doesn't have to be right or left. A lot of people think it has to be right or left of the dust cap or like whatever. You can be up or down on that dust cap. So
right. Now here's what happened though. The microphone, instead of doing this, instead of being perpendicular, it was like this.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like some people do that.
Yeah, but because I did this,
that will destroy your highs in your signal. But
that's what happened.
Yeah.
All my highs were gone.
Mm-hmm.
So remember I told you it sounded like a wet blanket.
Sure.
Kind of like it. Yeah, that was the thing. So anyway, I got to redo them, but and I broke a string on my SG in the process, as I said. But I like it. I like the output of it. I like the sound of it. I like the amp. That's terrible because I know you hate them.
It's Jim.
So it will be interesting to see what you think of the sound.
It's different strokes for different folks, and I'm sure in your hands it will not sound bad. But I had an HT5R, and let me tell you, it's story time. If you have milk, if you have cookies and a cot, please lay down, get ready to take your nap. It's just like kindergarten. We're going to go to school right now. So I had a Blackstar HT5. I had one right when they first came out, like maybe a year or two after they came out, right? And
that's like 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And Dan Kish can attest to this because he came over one time and I had that amp, and I was like, "You want to buy it?" It was, yeah, like I'm serious. So I had this amp, and I was going through. That was right after my kid was born, and she was probably 2 at the time, and still nap time and all that. So I was trying to be quiet, and I went through a couple of amps. I had the Vox AC4 TV, and I had I think I had an Epiphone Valve Junior around that time, and some other things. So I got a Blackstar because, oh my gosh, it's a high gain 5-watt amp. Yep. High gain amps are always expensive, and so when you see one that's like you can get it used for like $300, you're like, wow, like what happened? Now there's some options, like you got Panama and stuff like that. Yep. Which, for $300, maybe I'll get a Panama for the show and we'll demo it. Or maybe I can get Robert Jackson Lemmy one, or I can go down to Robert Jackson's place on a weekend or something. Yeah, and we can do a video together.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
So the Panama, or not Panama, the Blackstar HT5. When I got it, the first couple weeks I had it, I was okay with it. It worked, and Jim, I remember it worked good as a pedal platform. At the time I was running an AOCD. I had, I think I had a Trifecta, fuzz, and some other things, and it worked okay with pedals. I had a pretty decent board at that time. And when I would switch to the gain channel, like, oh yeah, I got my, I'm going to play Yngwie or Steve Vai kind of sounds. But the second I would try to make that drive channel clean up, it was fucking disgusting. Like, I could not get any dynamics out of it whatsoever. If I pick, and I'm not talking about volume knob dynamics. You can do that with any amp. But I'm talking about how like if you pick cleanly and you pick quietly, that the amp will not break up as much. It didn't do any of that. It was just full balls to the wall, like super compressed, high gain, even if I was like, whisper quiet. To the point where if I would play with fingers, which I do quite a bit, it wouldn't really operate properly. And then the big thing was, yes, the volume knob is not such a big issue on most amps, just like I kind of downplayed it a minute ago. I said, that's not really the deal here. I did feel that the amp remained compressed either quietly or loudly, but it was not right. It did not sound the way that I anticipated it sounding. And so within like a month of owning it, I was like, what am I doing with this thing? And I tried to get along with it. I love the fact they had an effects loop. I love the emulated out. I just thought that like all the features, the way that they tried to pack the amp loaded with things that you would need it's fantastic. But the sound of it just killed me. And I was like, never again. So when I sold it, it was on I think it was on Reverb for 6 months. And I deeply discounted it. I was like, get this damn thing out of here. And I think I ended up trading it to Guitar Center for something. Maybe that went with my Godin for the Steinberg I had in my old office. It probably did. So it is what it is. It's gone now. I don't miss it. I have no remorse. Like I said, I would gladly take that thing out back and burn it. Dance around the fire, all Peter Gabriel style. I know we've got some Peter Gabriel fans in the group. I've seen them sharing music on their Facebook page. So, here we go dancing around the fire, All right. Anyway. Yeah. I don't know, Jim. Like, different strokes for different folks. Maybe you can get something out of this thing that I couldn't. I know, like, we talked about pickups being different in our guitars and the stuff we were using being very different. That's probably a big part of why I didn't like it. And I think the tonality that I was getting out of it is different than what I wanted at the time, too. I was wanting more of probably British crunch. And, that's the funny thing. I have had so many amps over the years now, and I didn't own a Marshall until probably 2 years ago. I bought my first Marshall 2 years ago. I've had, let me think all the brands that I've had so we can kind of back this argument up. I've had Vox. I've had multiple Voxes. I've had Fender twice. I've had Line 6. I've had PV. I've had multiple PVs. I've had 2 Marshalls now. No. Yeah, one Marshall now. I've had no, I've had 2. I take it back. I've had 2. And then I've had Rivera, I've had, Mesa, and I've had PRS. So, of all those amps, the common thread here, obviously you can see my gain levels went up as time went on, because I started out with Voxes, and then I went to Fender, and then I kind of went back and forth between Fender for a while and Vox and other things. And then I went completely into the Marshall spectrum. Like, everything is dirty as hell now. Even my Mesa, I don't run it like most people run their Mesas.
Right.
My mids are up, and they're up a lot, because I want Marshall sounds. And I like my Mesa. The only problem I have with it, and the reason why I was willing to part with it today, is it just doesn't. It sounds like trash at low volume, and I cannot use it without an attenuator. I don't have one right now. I don't have an attenuator. So basically, it's collecting dust. And so I'm going to have to pony up and probably get an attenuator. And it may be a breaking year of no gear purchase, just so I can have it and make sure that, like, the Mark V is going to work for me long term, and then I'm not selling myself short, and I shouldn't be buying some sort of like high end amp clone or something for like
exactly.
A Mojave or something, a Marshall in a box type thing.
Yep.
I've already so as listeners of the show know, we had an interview with Thomas Blube. I wrote to him recently, and I asked, I I basically told him, I said, I am very, very interested in the Amp 1. And I said, I'm planning on getting one. The question is, do I still need my Helix if I do that?
Right.
And
he said,
well, he was super excited, and we've been having a conversation going back and forth since. But he seems, and he's a guy that believes in the analog stuff. He's not going to tell me what I'm doing is wrong, and bravo to him for that, because I've had conversations with people that will. But I think he kind of understands where I'm coming from, because he's a very similar player. Like, he's kind of a bluesy, rootsy, gainy player. Like, he doesn't really need the super high gain stuff to get what he wants, and that's kind of where I am too.
Yep.
So I have a feeling, since our tastes are similar, I'm really gonna like the Amp 1.
Yeah.
Or I could just get that Hughes and Kestner Tubemeister. Or what was it? It's not Tubemeister. It's the what the hell? The Triamp?
Yeah, the Triamp.
That's the one with the 1812AX7.
Yeah, that's the big one. Yeah, that's the big one. The Triamp.
What do you go for?
That's some gain. That's Alex Lifeson gain.
Talk some more about the HT5. I'm going to look and see if I can find the price of those on Reverb while we're talking.
All right, so I have the thing that I liked. So I went right to the fact that, one, it has the effects loop with the because a lot of the guitar amps, the smaller guitar amps, don't have small tube amps, don't have an effects loop. Has an effects loop, has the ability to put you can increase the volume of the effects loop if you need to. By giving it a gain, like a 10 dB gain boost. You're looking at the thing's got a lot of tubes in it.
It's not just that. I'll get to it in a minute. Go ahead.
All right, so I just like the sound of it. I was able to get a lot of good sound out of it, and I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. I know that you were shocked, and you got to remember, it's been 6 years. There's
probably been some design revisions, and there was a lot of hubbub about that amp and what are the tubes actually doing in it. Because they were saying, like, they're using a 12BH7 in it, which is a 12AX7 family tube. I think you can actually get 5 watts out of a preamp tube.
Right.
But doing so there are problems, which is why more manufacturers don't do that.
Right.
So there was a little bit of argument that they're using one half of the tube for a phase inverter or something, and then the other half of the tube is being used as like gain or something. I don't know.
Right.
And that the power amp is actually Class D in it. I don't know. I'm not getting in the middle of that. If somebody knows more about the circuit, wants to comment, but when I read that, I attributed that to a lot of my problems that I had with the amp. So, also of note, for those of you who are not aware, the team of people that works at Blackstar is allegedly the same team of people that came up with the valve state line over at Marshall. So, little tidbit. I've heard that from various people. So, your mileage may vary. Anyway.
And you were saying about the
H&K?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, I don't think I ever seriously took a look at this thing when it was in Alex Lifeson's hands, who is probably the most famous user of it. My God. This thing is now, we're going to start at the bottom here. Hughes and Kettner Triumph Mark III, 150 watt, 6-channel tube guitar head. This thing has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 power tubes, right?
Yeah.
And it has 6 power tubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 preamp tubes. It had 16 tubes in that son of a bitch. Take a guess what these are going for used.
The Triamp?
Yeah. Without looking, take a guess.
I'm not looking. I don't know. $2,000?
Oh, keep going. Between $2,250 and $3,000.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, if you go brand new, you can still get this thing brand new because they had a high price tag attached to them. I saw one going for $4,000 B stock. Here's another one going for $3,600. So these companies took a bath. Like these people that bought this thing took a bath on them, I think. Like this was an amp that was too much amp for most people. And the other amp that reminds me of is the Road King. Mesa Road King was kind of the same thing, which was like it wasn't as many tubes, but the Road King had the same purpose: provide 4 channels of craziness, with multiple power options. And I think the Road King even had like multiple sets of tubes, so you could have a switch on the back for EL34s or 606s. Like, it just got nuts. And to some extent, like, I get that. I see why a pro might want that, but that's just, like, a normal working musician's not going to be like, man, I really want that toggle switch in the backs for the 606s, the EL34s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be super useful. Except that you have to turn the amp off when I hit it. I don't know if that's the case with those things, but I would assume you'd have to turn the amp off to do that. I don't know, man. Like, it's compelling. I have to say that. You want a collector's amp? Here you go, because these things are going to be worth something. Those Marshall Majors that they made for Richie Blackmore, the 150-watt tube heads, those go for serious money. And they were made... Okay, despite what you hear, the only reason those things exist is because Richie Blackmore was at Jim Marshall's throat every day saying, I need something bigger and louder. And he had all kinds of problems. He used to kick them off the stage and burn them and stuff because they were horrendous.
Really?
Yeah, so he had one, and I think it's back in the care of Marshall now. But, like, basically they gutted it and rebuilt it from scratch. And it's got all kinds of mods and stuff to it. And I think the guy that used to be like the head of Marshall's product development, he had a clone built for himself. So, they got some crazy stuff in that Marshall museum. Let me tell you, some stuff that'll probably never see the light of day. So, but that's kind of cool. Like that he actually like, this is a terrible design. So I need you to rebuild this. And his tech's like, all right, I'll take care of it for you, Richie.
Okay, right on it.
Yeah, it'll be done by tomorrow. There's a guy. So funny road crew story on Amps and Axes. They had a roadie on there one time, and he was talking about doing tech work. And he said that literally, I forget who it was, but he had like plexis, and he was literally building the amp every night because it just could not hold it together. So
the early Marshalls, there were a lot of them that could the tubes. If you even bounce them around a little bit, they would crap out on you.
Oh, so in the Friedmans, that's a design feature.
Yeah. I did it.
Now I'm gonna get all sorts of Friedman hate mail now.
Oh no. Well, it wouldn't hurt to try to get one, not at your house, but get your hands on one long enough to
show that it crackles and explodes and breathes fire everywhere.
Yep.
It can't be as bad as like an AC-15 or an AC-30.
I would hope not.
Brian May runs his AC-30s so hard that they blow up, like every show.
So here's what we're gonna do, and we talked about this before the show. So I'm not saying something that's going to take.
We're gonna try to do this, and this might take a few days / weeks to get this done. But
because I'm going to be gone next week, actually this weekend. So it'll be a couple of weeks. But anyway, we're gonna put together 4 riffs or solos. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna record them using the HT5R, a Tubemeister, from Hughes and Kettner, the Mesa
Mark 525,
525, the Helix set with the brown eye setting.
Yeah, we're gonna do the brown eye setting on the Helix because it's more reliable than the real things.
Right. For the
No,
BE.
I'm totally kidding.
I know. What's the other one? Oh, and your katana.
Yeah, of course, got to get that Japanese sword action in there. Oh,
Yep.
you mean the amp?
And you're going to have we've got to mic the speakers and do DI. So your katana should have fun.
That katana is going to be awesome, Mike. We've done it before, and the thing is, this is why Eric Clapton and other artists have used the little mini Fender combos and mic'd them up, because the speaker is bigger than the microphone. It's, and in most cases, like when you're micing a 12-inch speaker, the speaker is way bigger than the microphone. In this case, the microphone's bigger than the speaker. And what ends up happening is this like weird phase relationship thing where the speaker sounds huge.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. It's like it can pick up, since the microphone now sounds huge at that point, basically. It's weird. So I want to get a ribbon mic, Jim. We can't afford one, but we need to get one between the two. Well, we can't mail it back and forth.
No, that would not be good for a ribbon mic.
I need to get a ribbon mic. I'm gonna look into it. I'm gonna see if I can find a cheap one or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna see what they've got used in the area.
For room mic.
Yeah. Well, you want to get room? I'm not really.
No. What the reason why I want to get a room mic?
Room for me.
This is not a podcast thing. The reason I want the room mic is for when I'm doing the fuzz demos. I need a really, really sensitive mic that can be like 10 feet away.
And that makes sense.
Because I want to get those Hendrix sounds where they were using a close mic and a room mic.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. I can't blame you there.
Anybody got a Royer, I think it's a Royer 120 or a Royer 160?
Royer 120.
Yeah, you want to sell me one? I know the Neumann is like, it's over $1,000. So
yeah, they're pretty expensive.
Anyway,
so I think that's a good thing to wrap up with.
Yep. We have really had a good run for the show so far. I wanted to bring everybody, because we're a little over today, but I wanted to take some time out to acknowledge all the people who participate in the Facebook group. And kind of just like give a shout out to everybody, but at the same time also say that we're on episode. This is the one we're recording right now. Let me look it up while we're looking. We are on episode.
Drum roll, please.
Yes, drum roll. We are on episode 63. 63 episodes already. We're not past a year yet. This is a marathon session.
Right.
We are trying to get... So, basically what Jim and I have decided is we're going to get to our anniversary date. Jim and I's anniversary together. And then we're going to...
Love in the First Degree.
We're going to start up season 2. So, if you guys have some things like format change ideas and things like that you want to propose, like, we'd be more than willing to entertain them. Otherwise, we'll just make season 2 more of this insanity that we've been doing for the first, which will probably be close to 104 episodes.
Yeah.
We should be right around 100, I would think, because I know there were some weeks where we didn't do 2 in the beginning, and then we had the month of January where we basically just fell off the map. But we've been really consistent since then, and Jim and I, so to go back, and I know there's probably people who have followed us from the beginning. Jim and I, in the month of January, fell off the map because there was a lot of stuff going on for him and I both. It wasn't like we didn't want to do the show or we were kind of getting bored with it. Not at all. Like, when we jump back into it, we jump back into it. And around January is when I took over the production, which is why we got, not to be pissing in your Wheaties, Jim, but it's why we got really consistent, because I wanted to be consistent. Like, I was working really hard for consistency. I am now, too. We record, just to give the backstory, we record on Saturday, or we record on Sunday nights or Monday night, depending. And then sometimes you'll see errors in the issues in the episodes. Last 2 weeks, we've been recording right before the episode drops. And you'll notice that the panning is off in one episode, and that sometimes your levels aren't great. And it's just because I'm running as fast as I can to get these episodes up. I apologize for any of that. I'm going to try to do better. Do better, Dave. You can do better. And I, if it's offensive to anybody, I apologize. We're going to do better on that. We're going to try to hit this Sunday thing so I can use Monday to actually mix the show and then try to post. And we've never said this publicly, but I try to post 7 p.m. Central Time. It may be a little bit after the nights where we're actually recording. A lot of times we're recording at 7 p.m. Central Time, so it doesn't get up till 10. So just know that if you're looking for consistency in the episode, if you check, so they come out on Monday night, check Tuesday morning. Every Tuesday morning, every Thursday morning. And you should have an episode. And if you don't have an episode, post in the group and yell at me. It hasn't happened in a long time. I think one night I forgot. But we're doing 2 episodes a week. Sometimes we're doing 3. So
yep.
We got content for you guys. We will always have content. And again, video ideas. If you guys have ideas for videos, please shoot them out to us. Even if it involves gear we don't have, we will beg, borrow, and steal to get it so that we can demo it within reason. We talked about doing that PV Viper demo, and we decided against it because the PV Viper Professional is like $600 something. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It'd be one thing if I could get the money out of it after I bought it, but there's no way in hell I'm buying a PV Viper Professional and getting my money out of it. It's just never going to happen. So, all right. With that being said, I'm going to wrap this episode up for us. I have been David.
And I've been Jim.
And this week we were really long-winded practical guitarists.
Yes.